All right, welcome to What is Your Why? This is our premiere show. We've already had some glitches as there's a giant learning curve when you decide last minute you're going to do something awesome like this. So, welcome to What is Your Why, where I introduce you to people who inspire me and we learn together what drives their passion and impact in the world in hopes that inspiration is contagious and we all catch some. Hi, I'm Taylor Ullum, creator of What is Your Why and amateur podcaster now. Hoping to have my guest on here shortly. I started this a minute ago and then found out it wasn't streaming live. So we had some technical glitches, but we should all be back in the show here shortly. But while I get everything situated, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. My first guest is from Woodrow, South Carolina, served in the United States Marine Corps for nearly 22 years, and he retired as a captain, a veteran of the Persian Gulf War. In 1993, he formed a video production company, Sandbar Production LLC, and in 2004 was chairman of the BEAUFORT Regional Film Commerce, member also of the International Documentary Association, and married to the beautiful Rebecca Tucker. We're still waiting for him to join the chat here. But whilst we are waiting, I also have a special co-host today. You might know his name, seen him around my Facebook page once in a while. He's an American actor. He's a voice actor. He's a movie actor. He's a film actor. I hear he's pretty fluent in speaking French also. The great John Schwab. John, help a sister out here, man. What's going on?
What's going on?
Dude, I lost my guest.
Well, he's around somewhere. I'm gonna pull you down. I'm multi-screening, so I'm gonna pull you down here.
Hopefully, we are now officially live on Facebook.
Well, I've shared it to my page, so and I think all my stuff is down, so I can maybe have a look and see if it's on. But yeah, I mean, Taylor, these things happen, don't they? You know.
Hey, I don't sweat it. It's.
Oh yeah, we're definitely on my page, so
we could edit it out later. I was we were fully engrossed into this. Luckily, only 6 minutes.
Well, you know, and it was really good. Tell you what, it was a very good intro. It's a very good intro.
I had to get something right.
But I think I don't know if Ron is on. I sent him something on Facebook, and I'll
Roger.
I can forward it to him.
I see he looks like he has my link. I don't know. He hasn't joined yet.
Have a look. How do I'll forward this? How do I forward it? How do I save it? This is the thing. I can save it. I love it. This is it's all good.
We're almost there. Post-production is going to be awesome. This show is going to look lit. Post-production.
I mean, are you recording it just in case, you know?
Yeah, I'm recording all of it. We're good to go. I'm getting the thumbs up from my director. We just need to get the guest back on.
Listen, so who is your director?
That would be the great Jordan Ullum, the mastermind behind all creativity around anything that I do.
Yeah. She's amazing. I've met her. She does a lot of creative. She works with my son. She does a lot of art. If you guys need some artwork or any kind of creative design or graphic design, let's pimp out our kids. If you need some music, both of my sons are musicians. Let's pimp out our children.
Click the link, Ron. There he is. All right, cool.
You can drop me. So drop me to the. Let me go back to the warm green room, and
Get out of here,
Ron in. You bring Ron in, and I'll see you.
We're gonna try this again. Get ready for it. Ready? We're gonna do a countdown official and everything. Here we go. Ready, guys? Welcome back, Ron.
Yeah, thank you. Where y'all been?
That almost worked so great the first time. I was so confident. We were like, yes, we're doing this. This is amazing. And then I get the cue from my producer, program director, creative mastermind over here. Like, you're not on.
Well, I've got 2 streams coming in this, at the moment.
Fantastic. Fantastic. We're on, we're live. This is good. Where it's showing up could be anybody's guess.
Hold on one second. I've got 2 streams going at the same time. I don't know how I did that. Hold on.
Nobody's used StreamYard before, so that's part of the problem here. Is everybody that I talked to was like, "How do you do this?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I've never used StreamYard before." So there is the additional variable here of having a platform no one's used on top of just a million other things. But I'm not even going to sweat it because you get what you pay for. This is free, right? But we're having fun. We're gonna get this going, and yeah, we're gonna. It says I got. Let's see if you can see this and you hear us and you're still hanging on. Drop a comment below, please, and let us know. This is the premiere show. You get to help us evolve. Hopefully, Ron will come back. He dropped out. He had 2 lines open. Meanwhile, back to the stage, the great John Schwab.
I can see you. I can see you up here on Facebook, and I can see you here. I've got muted over here, so we're all good.
This is fun.
This is what we call failing fast and often, and
Awesome.
what NASA does, and I think that
I love you.
yeah.
Failing fast forward and awesome.
Yeah.
Ron's back.
Yeah.
So before you out again.
You gotta you gotta do it.
We're failing
He's
forward
there.
quickly.
There's only one of me now, so that's good, I think.
All right. Now we're all on StreamYard. And we're looking good. We're looking good.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, again. There was 2 of me a while ago, and it was like,
amazing. That's what the world needs, Ron. 2 or 3 of you.
Nothing
Right
like
now,
a
we
little
do need
creative
2 of me.
chaos.
Yeah.
That's what I should have named my show, Creative Chaos. Here we go.
There you go.
But we have gone with what is your why, because I like to find out what makes people tick. Why do you do what you do? And my director is back and she's doing something with my screen. As I mentioned, my creative daughter is taking control of everything here.
You need to make your stream public.
I need to make it public. Now it's not even public.
I can see you though.
John can see me.
Yeah.
I can see you too.
I can see you.
Like that's why you can't see comments.
Where? How do you make it public?
I don't know. Just keep streaming.
Keep streaming. Well, it's supposed to be public. So I guess
public comment.
Yeah, it's apparently we're dealing with some issues in terms of it being.
You can't see comments, but I can see them. And you're doing.
You can see them.
I can see comments on my Facebook page, so I can relay them to you.
You relay the comments, sir. You're the comment.
If anybody comments, I will send them in. But you could listen. Why do you? Ron is here. I'll go back. I'll go.
No. We're gonna keep. Nobody's disappearing. We're all staying right here.
I'm not touching a thing right now.
We're done. This is as good as it's going to get today, but we're going to have post-production and we're going to make it great. So let's work with what we have today. We're going to just start here. Everybody's time is very valuable, so I don't want to waste any more of it with the little hiccups here. Ron, welcome.
Yes.
So
Okay.
good to
Glad to
see
be
you.
back.
Marine Corps veteran, wonderful filmmaker, film festival extraordinaire. You have a lot of stories to tell. We earlier, prior to this show, and then the repeat of the show, and then the setup of the show, we're telling a lot of stories. So, yeah. And John and I got together yesterday, and we were talking a little bit as well about BEAUFORT and you and the festival and a whole lot of things here. And so, yeah, I asked him to join us today as well, since he's sort of the connector into how we came into each other's lives. But so just to get the show rolling here, we just kind of want to give a little background to anyone watching and listening as to how you go from Ron, the little boy, teenager, to Marine, to BEAUFORT President Film Festival King.
Well, with joining the Marine Corps, that was one of the biggest things I've ever did. I mean, as a child, I kind of lived and breathed the Marine Corps, and it was mainly through going to the Saturday matinee, watching the films that came in, especially the ones that were about World War II or Korea. Um, and there were a few films made when I was a child about Korea, even though it's just hard to think that I'm going to say this, but that was just a few years earlier that the war had ended. And so uh, when I was in the 7th grade, we had to write an essay, and the title of the theme was "What My Country Means to Me." And I won the contest by writing all about the Marine Corps. And I tied that all in. I wish I had that essay today to go back and read, but I was pretty proud of it. And I spread the word, and I've actually tried a couple of times since then to institute something like that in schools, but times are changing, so it's not like it was obviously when I was a child. But and then when I finished high school, um, I didn't join right away, and I kept seeing people coming back from Vietnam to our school that had been to Vietnam, and they came back. And I think back, they had on their what we call utilities, their fatigues.
Mhm.
I didn't know any better because now I would say you can't wear that uniform, outside of a base. So they were kind of abusing the system a little bit, um, but I was inspired by that. But I didn't go in Marine Corps right away, and I waited, and then I was working in a box plant with and if you work with paper, you get cut. I was cut all up and
Right.
down my arms, and I saw this guy who worked in maintenance. His head was skint, and I said, I'm gonna ask him why he's got that haircut. So after when I had a break, he said he was a Marine Corps reservist. He had just finished his 6 months training. I left that day and went to the recruiter's office and said, I want to join. He was ready to put me on a bus then. And I said, no, I gotta tell some people that I'm going to do this. And so this was in February 1971. And then I went to boot camp. I actually got on the bus to go to boot camp in April. And the strangest thing was I had come down with a case of mononucleosis right before. So when I had to go back to Charlotte to get a new induction or physical, I said, I won't pass because I have mono. Well, no, they shipped me off. I went to boot camp with mono.
What?
And well, at least I felt like it. I was still sick, but I wasn't gonna
That's
delay because I didn't want to go to Paris Island in July. And so
Oh,
fair
off
too.
I
That's a
went.
tough
oh,
call.
that's a.
So I went and got through it, and then of course graduated
That's like a
and
would you rather question. Would you rather go to Marine Corps basic training with mono or go in the middle of summer?
well,
Paris
it
Island?
wasn't that bad really because I think it was shocked out of me the first day. Even though I was sick, I was more scared than I was sick, and
That's fair.
so it's just one of those. It's one of those things you rise to the occasion. So I felt like I rose to the occasion, and I didn't even think about being sick anymore.
That's that fight or flight, Ron.
That's exactly right. I was scared to death. I mean, yeah, I had seen a TV movie called Tribes, right before boot camp, and it was Jan Michael Vincent, and I was a big fan of at the time. And then I thought, yeah, and Darren McAvin was the drill instructor, and I went there, and it was like I was in that scene because I couldn't believe how many hippies got off that bus with me. I said I would have cut my hair at least a little shorter before I went to Paris Island, but there we were, and one thing led to another, and we got through it. And again, it was the first 3 days hasn't changed that much. I mean, the drill instructors are in your face, literally in your face, almost kissing you, and it's still like that. And so you don't forget that. So any person who's ever been to Paris Island or San Diego, in a lot of cases, Quantico,
Mhm.
for the officer training, you don't forget those first 3 days. And when I had gone and stepped on those yellow footprints, and then the drill instructors came to meet us and did all the crazy things they can't do anymore, which I won't go into. But they did a lot of things, and I thought, okay, none of this can be legal, and none of this, but I can't go anywhere. They scared us by showing us pictures of alligators and things of that sort. Says, you're
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
swim, and this is what you got to get past.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm staying right here. So somehow I got through it. My dad said when I got on the bus, he said, see you in a few days. Well, he didn't think I was going to make it. Well, there was no way. There was no way I was going to give up. So
Wait, I think we got a little footage of you making it through basic training. Yes? Let's
Yeah.
see.
You put on straight, stupid! Get into the ring!
We want good men who know that war isn't a game. We want men who feel that while nobody likes war or wants war, somebody has to know how to fight to win.
I want to see some blood. Get it!
So that fantastic slow-mo beating was Ron Tucker.
Yeah, that was me. And to be that skinny again, I'd love that. But I get a thrill every time I see that because
Do you remember that? Do you remember that moment? What that felt like?
Oh, I remember that moment well. And I had forgotten what the drill instructor said. He was actually a troop handler. He wasn't one of our drill instructors. But he said, I want to see some blood. And he said, I want to see some blood. I didn't bleed. I felt like I did. But it was.
I would have bit my tongue so fast. There you go.
Well, I didn't know because you don't know you're going to be the one. When you line up, you got 3 lines coming, and then next thing you know, they point to it, and I was the one. I thought, okay, I'm going to be against these other 2. No, I was in the line that was the one. And but I lasted longer than a lot of the others did, But
that's something to be proud
it
of.
was
So how do you conveniently have footage of that moment?
Well, it's kind of funny because after I got into the film business, I knew, and I had worked with some things with NBC and the other archives, and I had requested footage, and I said I knew exactly the day it aired, and if I hadn't known the date it aired, the year it aired, and the name of the program, I probably would never have found it. But I sent a request to NBC archives, and there it was, and they came back and sent me a VHS tape of it. And I fast forward, I said, oh my God, that's me right there. As soon as I saw it, and I did everything I could do. I zoomed in, I pulled back. I said, I remember these people. And so I was lucky I got that. And it's posted on YouTube. And I think it's got like 1 million views, over 1 million views. And there's a lot of people from that era, from 68 to 75, that remember that kind of training. I mean, the old white T-shirts, we were very plain, not like the different colored T-shirts like they have now in boot camp. We all wore white, and it didn't matter what battalion you were in; you were all the same. So it was, and and sometimes I still chant, when I'm doing something, and I said, my platoon was 241, and 241 is made of gold, blah blah blah.
Oh, I hear it. Give me the chant,
so it still
Ron.
comes
Give
back.
me the chant. Let's hear it. Give me the chant.
I don't know, but I've been told.
I don't know what I've been told.
241 is made of gold.
241 is made of gold.
You gotta laugh. That's it.
I love it. I love it. Because you know what? If you pull up my iPod iTunes account, I have a whole bunch of Joey's on there and stuff.
Yeah, but it was crazy.
My daughter's like, what is this? What are you listening to?
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're
home.
supposed to get that stuff.
Yeah, I think I told you, I think my stepfather, I grew up in the Marine Corps culture, and I believe he joined the same year that you joined, which it had never occurred to me to be like, what year did my father join? Till right before this interview. And it was in 71 because he retired in 91. We did 20 years, but you said there was a NBC film crew that had just happened to be there and wanted to film the senior class that was
Right.
graduating, and you were in that class.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they planned it and they came down and we didn't know because we had already turned in a lot of our gear. We'd turned in our rifles and all this kind of thing, and we were done with the confidence course, which is where this was. I thought we were anyway. And they came and said they wanted the senior platoon. We're going to march out because we're getting ready to graduate, so our marching was pristine, and they filmed all of that stuff. But what made it into the film was that they wanted a confidence course. There's more to the whole video where the guy's at the top of one of the big towers and he's talking about the training a few good men and this kind of thing. But I remember my role was those pugil sticks, and I said, "Oh my God, I made the cut." And I always think about that, And I said, "Wow." And the funny thing was that aired when I was home on boot camp leave, so I actually got to see it air. I said, "Wow!" I said, "This is pretty." I said, "Yeah, that's me. That's me." So we had the whole family around watching it, and I said, and the name of the program was called First Tuesday, and it was kind of at the time when 60 Minutes had just started. I started to believe, but that's how long ago it was, and and then that was over July. Then I had to report to Camp Lejeune for infantry training, which that was another story. That was boot camp all over again, times 5. It was just way different.
Wow. So did you enjoy your 22 career? I mean, you were in for 22 years, so it was either you were in it for just because.
Well, actually, and I've never regretted anything. The Marine Corps was really good to me, and I think I was really good to them because I worked hard and I made my way the hard way. I was an obedient Marine. I was not a troublemaker, and I worked with some really, really great people. Most of the people I worked with I consider them my mentors, and so it was good. I would not change that much. I would probably change the infantry training a little bit because I didn't like that part because it was in a lot of ways tougher than boot camp. But yeah, I love what I did and worked for some really great people, some of them I'm still in contact with today, and so it's really good.
Did did you have family that had gone in prior? Did you go in with an expectation, or were you just completely blindsided? Because I know that in my generation, anybody that was about to join the military watched, what was it, Full Metal Jacket. That was our training to get mentally ready for that.
No, to answer your question, no one in my family had been in service other than my dad was in the National Guard. He never said anything about it. He said, "Yeah, I drove a truck and smoked cigarettes and whatever," and wasn't that big a deal. But I was the first one to join, and later some of my cousins joined the Army and joined the Air Force and things like that. But but it was something I was proud of. My family was proud, and my mother continued. I mean, she was always writing stuff, and I said, "No, Mom, don't do that. Don't want to put it in the city newspaper, or I should say the town newspaper." And and so it was really good. And I'm still in contact with a lot of high school classmates that would talk about having gone in the Marine Corps, and so it was a good time. I'm really proud of everything that happened, and sometimes I question getting out at 22 instead of staying for 30. But I tell my wife Rebecca, if I hadn't have, then things would not have happened the way they did. So that we were destined, to follow this path. I think.
Right.
From the
Well,
Marine
thank
Corps to where we
you.
are.
Thank you for your service to our country, for your honorable service, and for what you brought to our nation. And I'm very proud, that you're a Marine. I think I told you earlier that I wanted to join the Marines, and the day I came home and said, "Dad, I'm joining the Marines," he was like, "No, you're not. You're Air Force."
Well, thank you.
I don't know if I
service,
took that as an insult or what, but I think he was right. I don't know if I would have lasted as long in the Corps.
Yeah, well, I think you probably would have. You've got that mindset that, you're the achiever and, I can do this and the bottle is half full. So,
Yeah.
is why you're doing this program here. So,
I definitely have that marine mentality, which I guess I didn't think about or pay any attention to, raising my children and all the work that I do. And one day I was actually working with Marines with Toys for Tots, and the guys that I was working with Guitars for Vets, were observing me. And when we left, they go, "This all makes sense now." And I was like, "What makes sense? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you're a Marine. Like you operate like a Marine." I was like, "Oh my God, I think you're right." Like now it makes
yeah,
sense why
yeah,
I'm such an overachiever, why I have to work so hard, why I have to, whatever. But it's that mentality, it's that core mentality of like get it done. There's no can't, there's no fail. It's get it done.
yeah,
And it's not a one person effort, it's a team effort. And
exactly.
we find that in our Brat family here with John and I have a core group of friends from way back in the day in Okinawa in high school. And we talk about that a lot, like how our upbringing amongst the Marine Corps or whatever branch that, their parents were in, like how did that impact you as a person? And yeah, everything about me is like black or white. It's yes or no, get it done,
Yeah,
um, which does not always translate well into civilian life,
yeah. Well, I think that,
but it's who I am.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that culture of being in a military family is so different from those that aren't in a military family, and uh, and it's kind of hard to explain, uh, if you haven't been there and you don't move around all the time, and
Mm.
you're in different grades in different cities, and so, but yeah, I
So
think
prior to your military career, had you traveled out of the country, traveled across the country, or was
I've
like,
never hardly been out of Woodruff. Are you kidding?
yeah,
So when maybe a few trips to Myrtle Beach and things like that, but I had not been out of the. I'd been out of the state. I'd been to Florida once, so I was almost been out of the country.
that is out
But
of state.
so
John.
when I graduated infantry training, I was at Camp Lejeune. Uh, this is where I first realized my recruiter lied to me, because when I went to the recruiter, he said, once you get out of boot camp, it won't be that hard. It'll be like a 9 to 5 job, and you'll be home every night for supper. Well, that
Oh,
never happened in 22 years. So, but I get to Camp Lejeune, and this was like September 19th, 1971. And uh, they formed us up in a big battalion formation, and the CO came out. And the CO was Lieutenant Colonel A.M. Gray, Al Gray, who later became Commandant of the Marine Corps. And he was my first CO. So he came out and said, there's not going to be any leave for you guys. We're leaving on a med cruise. And I didn't know what a med cruise was. I said, what's that mean? They said, Mediterranean cruise. Oh, we're going on a cruise? I'm thinking, okay. I feel like Gomer Pyle, So I said, cruise? And yeah, that's a Navy ship. You get on a Navy ship and you go out to the Mediterranean. I said, well, that doesn't sound too bad. And so 4 days later, I was on that med cruise. But before I left, they came and said, Tucker, you're going to mule school. I said, I'm going to what? They said, mule. Well, that was kind of an acronym, MULE, is a utility vehicle. It's kind of like an ATV, only
mm-hmm.
1971 edition. So I went and trained for that, and I thought, okay, I'm not even gonna have to walk. I'm gonna be driving this mule. So that didn't turn out. They gave me a mule that didn't work, so I pushed it all over Europe practically. It would take it, and I said, it doesn't work. Well, I'm PFC, and nobody listens to a PFC. So
Mm.
there we were, and so that was my trip to the Europe. And I told Rebecca, who wants to go back to Italy and Spain and those places, I said, we're going to go different than I did the last time. So we're looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I know there's no shortage of military stories, but let's transition a little bit into
Okay.
how did you and John come to know each other? How did that connection happen?
Well, John submitted us some very great films. after transition from the Marine Corps to my civilian life, it wasn't long after that we had the idea to start a film festival, and so once this film festival got started in 2007, I think it might have been 2008 that had the first film from John. Had a really great short film. Had a great feature film, The Hide,
Mhm.
and then we had several films over the years after that. If we had one, I always remember it. John submitted the shortest film we've ever had, about 2 minutes. I said, it doesn't matter, 10 minutes. I mean, you got 10 minutes to talk about it. So, John had come to the festival with the first time, and then we've had great Q&As over the years, and we always love to see John. I remember one of the Q&A he gave with one of his films, and it was so raw. I mean, it was like our second year. We were there in this old theater, and I look back now and say that was our infancy. That was like going from the crib, to the king size bed where we are now. And John was there and talked about the film, and I said, wow, because I didn't know anything about Q&As. We do it totally different now than we did then. So we've just kind of grown together in this whole film festival journey, and it's been
Okay.
fascinating.
John, how did you learn about the festival?
Well, to be honest, I looked up film festivals on early Google. This is 2008. It's 15 years ago. It
This
was
is when
something
I
like that.
just got on Facebook, guys. Like,
Yeah, and this exactly. This is here's a memory from 15 years ago, and
Right.
it's kind of you going, oh, I'm doing my first film. Listen, the Applicant was my first short film that I really I've been doing little bits and pieces, but it's my first one that I submitted, and I saw that Beaufort Film. I was like, Beaufort Film Festival. What if that's Beaufort, South Carolina? And then I saw like an article about it, and I wrote Ron and didn't know Ron at that moment. I said, listen, Beaufort means so much to me and my family. It was our favorite. Okinawa was great, but I grew from I don't know. I started to see who I wanted to be in Beaufort, and I used to go out into the woods, and I would, I used to go on the Broad River and catch supper. It was like this idyllic 3 years of my life, and I thought, well, I'm gonna submit to this film festival, having been to some smaller film festivals in the UK. My first film was called a Solution Writers Block. It went to a few European festivals because I live in London, but Beaufort showed up at Beaufort. What Ron was talking about, this small room, I can't tell you the difference between like that screening and that Q&A to what goes on now. It's like watching a child grow up, and it was in its infancy, and it hit puberty with lots of hiccups, and now it's like this young adult who is so confident and like beautiful and having the ultimate glow up. It is an amazing festival. And the thing is, the reason why Ron can go on and talk to you about the participants and things and how it's grown, but I've watched people come back year to year, and Ron has brought my family. Ron is responsible for more family reunions.
That's my bad.
I love that. Ron is more responsible. It's there. It
I
is. Look at that.
wanted
Doesn't
to
doubt
play
Biff.
this little clip for you of
Do it,
somebody
do
else
it.
doing this as well. So that was I bumped it.
This is one of my favorite festivals. I was here in 2020, and I had another film in 2021, which sadly I couldn't be here because of the pandemic. But we're back with another film called The Last Laugh, which is a comedy directed by Paul Lewis Anderson. And I get to play a comic, which I'll let you go with that. Why is this place special? First off, the location is really, really beautiful, and Ron and Rebecca put a really well-curated festival together I probably have turned on over a dozen filmmakers from New York to this festival because it was turned on to me through another friend. And I feel it's probably one of the best curated festivals out there.
Not probably.
I know that guy. I've seen him go back there.
Right.
That's, and, I'll hand it back to Ron, but absolutely. I have so enjoyed the Beaufort Film Festival. Like I said, Ron is responsible for more family reunions for us than
Right.
here's the thing. Weddings, births, deaths, and Beaufort. There you go. And Beaufort's pretty much at the top of that list to getting all the Schwabs in one place. But it's an amazing thing, Ron, and Rebecca as well.
Well, I
Right.
appreciate
So with
that.
its inception here now, was your vision that it would grow into this big thing? Did you think that you would be in how many states, how around the globe has this thing gone? Like Beaufort's name goes far and wide, right? Biff?
Well, it kind of exploded in the last few years, and I think the last year we had the festival, and in fact, here in John Talk, I had pictures I looked at just this morning of the 2009 festival when we threw the award ceremony together at the Holiday Inn, and we had this small conference room. I guess it was maybe a banquet room, and we had maybe 30 people at the award ceremony, and half of those was John's family. And so
Nepotism,
we
right?
didn't really have a stage. We had this riser that we put in there, and I didn't want to look at the curtains, so they said, well, they went and got a black tablecloth and just threw it up over the thing in the back. And I looked at it and I said, wow, we've come a long way since that day. And but it was right after that, I think 2010, we had a film play that and this little theater we were in had 3 theaters, and we had to overflow. We had to show this film in 2 theaters, and at that time the theater, even though we'd had gotten it for free, it was being rented out by a church. So the pastor and his group actually did the sound for us, but more and more as time went on, people this was their turf when we weren't doing the film festival, so they started questioning some of the film selections. Like, you can't say those things. I said, And the fact that this thing was so packed that night, someone came up to me, and I always have movie reference who says, Ron, we're going to need a bigger boat. And I said, you're absolutely right. So that's when we moved to University of South Carolina Center for the Arts, and then we got a little fancy with things, and I went kicking and screaming because I love the intimacy of the smaller theater. But I said, if we move over there to this bigger, I said, it's got to look and feel like a theater. So I didn't want the people who are from Beaufort who would go to the theater and just see the same entrance and the same everything every time. We changed it. I said, I want to smell popcorn when I walk in the door. So we had this whole atmosphere we created, and it's almost like a little movie theater, even though it's a Center for the Arts, and it has way more seats. We have 465 seats. And as time has gone on, we fill those seats up. In 2020, the pre-pandemic, we averaged 411 people per screening, and we start at 9 o'clock in the morning. And so that's pretty phenomenal, and it hasn't changed a whole lot since. The off year or the year after that, we still had a film festival, but it was much smaller, and we have steadily since 2021, 22 and 23, we're kind of getting back to where we were the pre-COVID. So it's gotten really, really big. Last year we had people from 6 states and 39 states, 6 countries. And that's kind of what we do. We put out a map, and on the map we highlight the states that have people from them. And there's only a handful of states, and most of them are in the middle of the country. But for the longest time, we had one little white spot in the map, and it was West Virginia. I said, why does no one from West Virginia like our film festival? So the whole East Coast just had that one little spot. But we filled that in last year. So and that's
Fantastic.
good. And this year we've already had nearly 100 filmmakers commit to coming to the festival. So
Amazing.
yeah.
How many of
and-
them are repeat? I'm sorry.
Actually 18.
Wow.
Are repeats. The rest of them are brand new. They're going to get the first BIFF experience.
That's amazing. And that's like the over 4 days plus the other events, only having 18 filmmakers. That means there are a lot of new filmmakers. But I want to go back to something Ron said. I have been to film festivals all over the world, including Cannes, including Berlin, including Toronto, I've been to the big ones. It is still the best reaction from any crowd you're going to get. It's also, I don't like to call Beaufort a small festival or a boutique festival because it's a big festival. When you're pulling in crowds like that and you're averaging a 90% capacity rate to a theater, that is a massive win. I have never been to a festival and seen a consistent. It's not like people go and watch one block and then go away. The blocks are filled, and time after time, because I've been lucky enough to be back at Beaufort with having films in, but also to be a juror on a few occasions, present a few awards. It's like it is the joy of my life to go back to Beaufort and be involved, and to hear people's reaction, the filmmakers that say, I got a 9 o'clock slot, and I thought it's going to be dead, and including our good friend Frederick Marks. He just thought, what? I thought no one was going to watch. He said, "This is the best reaction I've ever had from a film in a festival." I love that, Ron. That's credit to you and Rebecca getting, curating, as Anthony said, but and getting the buzz about the films in.
Well, I'm glad you said that because Hoyt Richards had a film in 2016, and he was in LA, and Vanna White was our guest that year. And I had called Hoyt to tell him when it was screening, and I said, "You're screening at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning." And then just paused. I said, "Ron, nobody would be there." I said, "Trust me, this is different." I said, "BIFF is different than any place you've been because you'll have people there because our audience is." I can't imagine. We've been to other film festivals, and it's never been like this. We may go into a screening that has 25, 35 people. We went to one that had like 6 people. And and I said, I guess because we didn't have, I guess we didn't have like a model to go by. We just kind of created this on our own and just kind of, we really build up the audience because they are engaged. They come, and you've been there, so they ask questions, and I'd love it when we have when I'm doing the Q&A. I love to have filmmakers like John. I ask one question, and I got 10 minutes to fill, so I don't have to really say that much after
You just
that.
say one question.
We get the student filmmakers, and I got, okay, how long has it been? I said, it's been 1 minute, so I got 9 minutes to fill with this student filmmaker who may not know that much about their film, and so it's always fascinating. And as time has gone by, the questions get more and more sophisticated. These people, they know film, and we have a pretty sophisticated audience. We've done tourism studies, and the majority of our audience are college graduates and postgraduates, and they block out the period of the time for the festival to come here from
That's
all
incredible.
over. And it's amazing. We kind of don't know how it happened, really. It just kind of mushroomed, and we love it. And we love it that the filmmakers are we don't spend a whole lot of money. In fact, we almost spend none on PR stuff. We do it all through social media and word of mouth through our drill instructors. I started to call you guys drill instructors, through our filmmakers. And,
my kids agree. My kids agree with you, Ron.
Let me roll a little bit of this PR for you guys.
Okay.
Hey, stupid!
Quit it!
Can't you hear me, stupid?
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest, run!
Come on, it's getting away, move it!
Where are you running to, Forrest?
I'm running to the Beaufort International Film Festival. for Miss Jenny?
Okay, I'll meet you there.
It's
Oh,
fantastic.
I
If
love
you're
it. I
if you're a
love it.
film buff, it's fantastic. I was
Yeah.
like, Ron, what is this? I'm rolling. And he's like, here's some more. And I was, you can't get enough of it. It's so fantastic.
Yeah.
no,
That
it's
is great PR, in my opinion.
well,
Um,
we love doing those kind of little things, and when we show them throughout the festival, uh, and I remember that particular day that we filmed that. It was so cold in Beaufort, South Carolina. It was freezing,
was it
and
like 72? Was
yeah.
it cold?
So Forrest and Jenny. I wish I had behind the scenes stuff for that day because there was big age difference between the kid that was playing Forrest and one that was playing Jenny. And she said, "Why don't we just call me Cougar Jenny?" And I said, "Okay." Well, I said, "Okay." And uh, so the outtakes are probably just as funny, and because she was supposed to go on cue, and the guy was throwing little pebbles at her, and she said, "Stop." And I said, "What happened?" And she said, "I didn't hear the Yahoo." So these guys were supposed to be saying Yahoo in the back of the truck, and they didn't. They were just going down the truck. And I said, "Oh no, you guys say Yahoo, Yahoo." And so it was funny. And then, but my camera guy said, "Okay, you guys just keep your jackets on." I said, "No." I said, "This has got to look like summertime. We don't want jackets on. They can handle it for a few minutes." So, and I thought, well, I'm not going to take my jacket off while they're doing this. So it was cold, but it was a lot of fun that day.
Love it.
Wow. Well, I wanna share just a little bit about how I came into BIFF, and that was back in 2021. I had just reconnected with my high school group, the Dragons. During COVID, we established a Saturday Zoom call just to call in and connect and check with each other, for just the sake of mental health. We all needed that connection, and it really grew into just a rekindling of friendships and a community that had a special bond via our brat life. And so I got to know John a little more in high school. I didn't know John at all. John was this very elusive, tall, and handsome young man that I had a French, it wasn't even a French class, it was a French club
Yeah. Club.
with. There's a
Yeah.
high school picture of us in French club together, and I would just go up and be next to him like he was so dreamy, just be like, "Hi." And if he like said hi to me, I'd be like, he said hi, it was like that kind of thing. So here
Yeah.
I am talking to this guy years later. We won't even say how many, but this friends, we just got very intimate, and we shared a lot of like our struggles. And at the time I had just been diagnosed with PTSD. I was going through so much in life. And so this connection came to me at a very critical time where I needed support. And John was just a huge support for me, reaching out and just being there for me anytime. But he tells me about this film festival. And do you know, in my lifetime, it never occurred to me to like go to a film festival. I love film. I do. But I'm not a filmmaker. So I guess in my mind, I thought, why would I go to a film festival? I don't make films. But he was like, I'm presenting an award. I'm trying to do my best accent. And I think it would be lovely if we would all meet in Beaufort. And I was like, say less. I'm there. It's in
Yeah.
February. If you looked out my window right now, guys, I'm in the middle of a blizzard. Okay. There is whiteout conditions going on out here. So the thought of color and warmth, I was like, yes, I'm there. And as soon as I walked into BIFF, I was just like so moved. And it was like, and this is all going to sound so cheesy, but know that I mean this. It was like color was coming back into my life. Sunshine and warmth was coming back into my life. I resonate a lot with the South when I think of home. We did a couple of tours there growing up in Georgia. So Spanish moth and red, did I say moth? Moss and red clay and things like that. Everything about the South. I'm drawn to. I have a puppy dog here, and her name's Dixie. I love the South. I was moved in a way that just struck a healing chord in me. Like you were a part of my healing process and you don't even know this just through your festival. John was so kind. He walked me around like a big brother. I didn't have brothers. I had sisters. He paraded me all around that festival. He introduced me to you. And as soon as you started speaking with your accent, I was like, oh my God, I could listen to you talk all day. Like the whole festival, I could not wait to hear you talk because your accent was just so amazing. And it just made me think of home. And so I felt like home at your festival. And then John would be like, listen, I want to prepare you for this film we're about to watch. Like, it's going to be kind of triggering for you. And I'd be like, I'm fine. Like, I don't even have emotions. And Ron, those movies wrecked me, man. They were so powerful. But as I was telling John yesterday, I said, what these films did was allow me to reconnect with my emotions, like in a safe space. Like I had people around me that I felt safe with. I'm being triggered to feel and experience things through other people's eyes, but like pain is universal, trauma is universal, love is universal, right? So it doesn't matter how you package it up, you can feel it. And so these films walked me through some things that I needed to reflect on and heal. And so like I walked away from Beaufort just forever changed, because like how do you go through a healing moment like that unintentionally? But that's how powerful like this little festival was. And again, it's not little in terms of, you know, the impact that it has, but just little as in it just felt so intimate and so personal. Fact that you took the time to say hello and to greet me and meet me and to listen about my service or what I'm doing with my nonprofit, it meant so much to be seen in that way. So I just wanted to say that, like, thank you for the work that you've done and all of this, because it reaches people in a way that maybe wasn't even your intent. But, you know, now I wear my Beaufort shirt around and brag, oh, I'm going to the film festival in February. It's no big deal. You could go if you want to.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because that is something that in the last few years, I've kind of felt that something special happens with these films. And I told someone just recently when they were asking me about the festival, and I said, some of these films are life changing. I mean, they change people because they're so well done, number one. And you feel like the filmmaker really captured what they were trying to do, whether it was about PTSD or whether it was about Alzheimer's or a painting. They get moved. We had a film a few years ago about these cancer survivors who took up dragon boating, and it was a relief for them to be able to not concentrate on their cancer, but to concentrate on a team sport. And it was so moving and so mesmerizing that it resonated with a lot of people in the audience who were cancer survivors. And when we had the after party that night, this aired on played on a Saturday. At Saturday night, Dragon Boat Beaufort had been formed with business cards and everything. They were all for it. And I told them that night, I said, as you make your journey, I will personally film every time you guys practice for the next year until you get your boat, until you get a team into the water. And I did that. And sometimes we look back, and I look at that very first video when they were at the waterfront park, and they had straight chairs, and they were sitting there with broomsticks as they were going through the motions and practicing this. I'll send you guys the video, because
unbelievable.
It was quite moving now to go back and look at that video. And several of those members are no longer with us, and we had the interviews for them because they were surviving. In some cases, they thought they were past that, in remission, but then cancer eventually took them. And but that's the power of film. I mean, we've had so many films that people will ask me by name what happened to a certain film. Years later, people still come up to me and tell me that The Hide was one of the best films that we've had at the film festival. And I'm not saying that because John is here. I mean, it's just one of those things they did. And this was I think only 2 or 3 people were in the film, and it just kept, and it was dialogue heavy,
Yeah.
and but it kept you engaged the whole time. And it's just films like that. And
Ron, what's a film that unexpectedly wrecked you? Like you just were like, I can't even hold in the tears. I can't.
Yeah, but there's so many topics, and I
Do you
learned.
have one though? Do you have a film that you unexpectedly like went in to watch and then you just left so emotional?
There was a film, and it's a military film called The 11th Order, and that was so powerful.
I've
And
got
I
chill
remember
bumps.
Can I play that, Ron? Can I play
I've got
that?
chill bumps. I've
You
got
ready,
chill
John?
bumps.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning, Corporal. You're a spunky one, aren't you? It's great. We got a long ass day ahead of us, Lance Corporal Harder.
Lance Corporal Jordan Harder, 20, and Corporal Jonathan Yale, 22. Or to assume watch together at the entrance gate of the Joint Security Station, Nasser.
One real piece of advice, man. That guilt that you're feeling for not going into combat, that's just the shit they used to brainwash the recruits. You know, there's no glory in this. It's good friends dying far from home, that's all.
One of the Iraqis elaborated with tears welling up, and he said, "Sir, in the name of God, no man, no sane man would have stood there and done what they did. They saved us all."
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Ooh,
The thing is
guys.
when
Ooh.
you're you know, my dad's a Marine, you know, and I grew up there, and you know what selfless means, and you know what duty and honor means. And when that film, I was gripped, Ron, when I watched, I was whoo.
Yeah, and I will always remember the Q&A. Wow, I mean, I could barely get through that Q&A because the mother of Corporal Harder was in the audience.
Yeah.
And when our eyes locked, it was like, oh my God. So thankfully, Josh DeFore took it, you know, and got me through, and I was able to, you know, compose myself a little bit, because when I was editing, that won our Santini Award, and that's what it was there for. And so I lived and breathed this film as I was putting together the tribute piece for Joshua and his crew. And one of the people that was in it, that I played it over and over and over, was Joanne Lyles, talking about that experience of having lost that son, and how she's kept his memory alive all these years through these annual runs and different events that they have where she's from. And I mean, it was one of the. I mean, I have a lot of powerful films, but that one moved me in a way I wasn't expecting.
And at the awards, there were a few people at the awards as well that came up on. Was that?
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it was.
but that's the thing. Year after year, Rebecca, we're so spent after the festival, and we're looking for our cruise, which is usually a few weeks later. And then we thought, oh man, you know, I don't know if we can do this again. And then we get our second win, and about July, all of a sudden the new films are starting to come in. And then we start watching them in July, and just to decide what's going to go forward to the first level of jurors, and then we go to the second level. So, but when we get a real gem like 11th Order, and we've had others over the years too, and then that's just so moving, we'll look at each other and say, did they mean to submit that to us? This is really good. This is really great. We don't say it as much as we used to, because now we're getting really good films. As John can tell you, this, you know, they got a big job. You know, the jurors are like, okay, you
Right, like these movies live in my head. Yeah.
Well,
Just the
yeah,
past couple years.
watching the steady incline of talent and technical nous and storytelling, like it's just they envelop like the art form, and the people I'm seeing now, I'm going, oh, that's Matthew Modine. Oh, that's this. You're like, when wow, I'm seeing Ducky, on from it's just from 16 Candles. I'm like, whoa, not 16 Candles from oh gosh, I'm forgetting it
You hit
now.
the important word there, storytelling. Is
Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink, yes.
Yeah,
The
that's really
storytelling.
important that they tell the story that they intended to tell, and you feel the story because you're watching it. And there's a lot of times that when I watch the film back, because when I watch it the first time, there's no audience. But when I watch it with the audience, sometimes I get a totally different feel for the film. And especially when we're trying to pick comedies, because but when you hear the audience laughing, it was like, like,
so good.
Thank you. That's funny where they meant for it to be funny. And so it's always good to have that audience response, this instant approval for what you've done. And the stories, the audience sometimes in their questions back, you could tell there's personal experience. We had one a few years ago called A Sister's Call. And that movie just really was unsettling. And it was a true story of it started off with her looking for her schizophrenic brother. She found him. And then as they reunited after he'd been gone for like 17 years, then one thing led to another, and then found out that there had been some abuse early on. They didn't realize had happened. And it moved the audience in such a way that when we did the Q&A, she came down with her husband. There was not a dry eye in the theater. And I asked her, I said, how do you do that? How do you go from, she said, I just feel like it's a story that others in this audience may have. And oh, wow. I had to cut off the questions. It was the last film of the day and the Q&A. And I said, just y'all have to get together afterward. But it was, you could tell in the question, they weren't asking a generic question. They were asking a question based on their actual experience, something that had happened to them. And it was moving. And then we had a film called Death by China. And it was someone who came in, and that Death by China was so informative and powerful. And the filmmaker was there to talk about it, who was one of the, he was so gifted at doing the film. And I didn't know until we were standing there waiting for him to take the stage. I was watching the credits go by, and it said original music. And he had done the original music for the film as well. And he was a professor at the University of California, Irvine. And when he was taking the answers, and again, this was 400 people in here, and he said, all the hands went up, and he said, I'll take you, then I'll take you, then I'll take you. It's kind of like concentration. How did he remember where all these people were? And he just kept it moving. And so, but the film itself really resonated with a lot of people because you got a diverse group of people in there, whether they had different political affiliations. One set of people saw the film one way and the other saw it another way. So that's the fun thing, or maybe not so fun sometimes, in documentaries, because it's all in your perspective, I guess. And so I really think that the films that we get sometimes are just really powerful enough to resonate people, to make them want to make a change in something.
Right.
I think Ron, just jumping quickly this year, like I've started my viewing to my scores, and I've done it. Ron and Rebecca have asked me a few years to come back and be a juror, and it's just a privilege, because nobody else has seen these really. We're right at the front line, and I know nothing about these, and that's why I love it
Yeah.
so much. Because when you come and see a film, you're not going to have ever heard. There is no expectation whatsoever, and that's why you get blown away. And I've cried 3 times today
Yeah.
watching the
Well,
film.
the one of the ones that you mentioned is filling in the blanks. I mean, it's like that
Oh,
was really eye-opening about
I'm so
DNA.
jealous you get to see these already, John.
So they're just mesmerizing, and then you're going to see one pretty soon called David again.
I watched that. That was when I saw Ducky from Pretty in Pink, and I was crying. I was crying about an hour before we got on this call.
Mike,
Well,
feel free to send maybe some of those films my way.
yeah, well, Adam Elliott was here last year, and he had a film called a Best Friend, the Best Man, or something. A Best
The
Man.
best man. The best man.
He
Yeah.
was here last year with that, and then he did this documentary, and we've been talking back and forth about who's coming, and he's got people who were friends of David, who's the
Wow.
subject there, and then have John Cryer as his best friend, and then have
Yeah.
John taking part in the documentary. And then Adam told me yesterday, he said, "I'm bringing my mom." Yeah, so his mom is coming to watch the film, and that's the other thing, that we have a lot of families that come
Yes.
together and see these films, and it's just something
It's
that
funny you say that, because after my first year, I immediately came home and told my daughter, you're going next year with me. And then now she's like, I don't care if you go. This is last year. I don't care if you're going. I'm still going. And so now it has become a family thing for us
Oh,
as
good. Yeah.
well. I'm giving thumbs up here. So, Ron, could you highlight 2024 BIFF for us? Like, what are some things to look forward to?
Well, this year, I just told Margaret Evans yesterday, she's a local writer, publisher, that I said, this year we've got the tiger by the tail. I mean, this is just so phenomenal. It's the 30th anniversary of Forrest Gump, which we're going to highlight. We have Gary Sinise is going to be here as our special
Love
guest.
Gary.
And, when we first invited Gary, we didn't know that we're going to get the whole entire Lieutenant Dan Band too. So
Are they
Lieutenant Dan
coming?
Band will be here. They're performing a concert on Friday night. We have a film that's going to be playing as well. So it's kind of, but we for scheduling reasons, we still had to continue with the festival, but Lieutenant Dan Bands, and there's big 2 totally different
If
audiences.
he needs some guitar players, I know some people.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be here. They're gonna play, and then on Saturday night we'll have a talk back. I'm gonna moderate the talk back with Gary after the award. We're actually going to present his award on Saturday night.
Amazing.
Because he's
Great.
not going to be with us on Sunday. So we'll have 2 award ceremonies this year, and then on the opening night, Marlena Smalls, who played Bubba's mama in the film,
Yes.
is on it, and she's a world-renowned singer.
Mhm.
And she founded the Hallelujah Singers, which are also in the film. So she's going to do on the opening night. She's going to do a concert called Bubba's Mama Sings the Blues.
Oh,
It'll be a-
man.
It's going to be a 1-hour concert, and she's going to sing songs from Etta James and Tina Turner and a whole bunch of others. And I won't give away too much because it's got some Forrest Gump theme to it as well. And the Forrest Gump impersonator, Paul Dingler, will be here as well. And Paul is the official representative for the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. And he's been here before in 2014 when we did a tribute to Forrest Gump. So that kicks it off. And then we have the award ceremony on that Sunday. And then between, we have a young filmmaker from Poland who has been fascinated with the film Forrest Gump since he was very small, came here, started working on this documentary 4 years ago. And along the way, we got to know Daniel Stanislawski, and he is coming back. Rebecca and I got on board with him as producers of this documentary last year, maybe year before last, but I think it was last year. And it's called The Spirit of Beaufort, Remembering Forrest Gump. And it's all the people who are still in Beaufort who had something to do with Forrest Gump.
Oh, wow.
And it's a 1.5-hour
incredible.
documentary, and it's going to be on that Saturday just before the Gary Sinise event. So, and it's pretty
I'm
phenomenal.
so excited because that That is a family favorite movie in our house. We once went to a Bubba Gump restaurant and we shut that place down on trivia.
Yeah.
We were asking them questions. We were
Yeah.
like, don't even come at us with these questions. We know this movie inside and out. It is, man, that is a film
And
that just
it's a pretty
incredible.
and Daniel being a working cinematographer for a station in Poland, is so well versed, and when he's on the job and he's shooting, he's very focused and from does it all. He's a one-man show. He does the sound, he does the drones, he does the whole works.
Wow.
And the opening of this film is just phenomenal with the cinematography. And Paul Dingler, who is Forrest Gump, is a musician, and he lives in Nashville. He did the soundtrack. We have a soundtrack for this film. 10 songs.
Wow.
10 songs, and he wrote them all, and they're very similar to the Forrest Gump music that you hear.
I love it.
And it's really, it will move a lot of people from Bubba's mama's house, Catherine, who owns the house. We'll talk about that, to the dentist who designed the prosthetics for Bubba's mouth and Forrest and Sally Field, which I didn't even know they had prosthetics. And
Wow.
so he'll be there, and he still has these in a cabinet, and he pulled them out for us. No pun intended, but but it's really fascinating, I think. And we have the chocolate tree, which tells the story about the chocolate. So it's pretty phenomenal, and so we've got a few surprises still. And you guys, one of the things that's big in this festival is the music. I have never heard as many films as we have this year, where music is so central to the story. And sometimes it's not even central to the story, but it's in your subconscious. You're hearing this music.
Right.
So, wow, that music was great. And so as musicians, I think you're probably going to appreciate all of that. And the feature film that John he hasn't watched it yet probably, but it's called Long December. It's all music. And
I'm so jealous, John.
Can't wait. I know.
I
Can't wait.
want to be a juror so I can see these movies.
I can't wait. Yeah, we've got the good thing is that I do the same thing that Ron does, and you've seen me, Taylor. When I go in and watch, I people watch. I people watch. I people watch when the film has really got me, when I'm watching it as a juror and putting down my thoughts, and it's I go and I watch you guys publish a parish. I knew it was coming up, and I would look at you guys at the jump scares. I was waiting for every.
I know you did. I remember.
400 people go, and
that movie.
It's wonderful.
So good. That film.
Know, and seeing.
I'm going to just caveat this real quick.
reaction.
If anybody has Prime, you have access to this film, Publisher Paris. You have to go watch it, please.
Yeah. It's good fun.
Please. That movie.
But I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking
forward to seeing all of them now, and they're over 50, and full disclosure, I was going to have a film in this year, and for various reasons it didn't have to happen. And Ron, thankfully, not 15 minutes after we got it, wrote and said, "Hey, John, I'm sorry that it's worked out this way. Nothing to do with Ron, nothing to do with the festival, every bit to do with the success of the film." And Ron said, "Would you like to be a juror?" Like he said, his time is tight or whatever, and I was like, game on. First of all, don't tell a Schwab there might not be enough time, or because we would just jump on it. But also, it is the thing that I look forward to at the beginning of the year. Ron has given me such a gift when he asked me to be, because through your passion and Rebecca's passion for the Beaufort International Film Festival, what you guys have built, you do so much for so many people. You've given people a reason to look forward to the winter and to look forward. And
Amen.
I absolutely love you guys. And it is one of the joys of my life to be associated in some way to your beautiful, beautiful festival. And I tell everybody about it. And it is not hyperbolic. It is not pejorative. It is literally, this is fact, people.
I'm going to one up, John. I'm telling everybody about it. I made a podcast just so I could do this. Okay. So,
well,
I
I
mean, whatever.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's and I think John. I mean, I love John's critiques of the films because you can tell he really watched the films
Mhm.
and really dug into what the film was about, the storytelling,
He
and
is so good about
sometimes,
not giving details away too.
yeah,
He will
and he
just say,
doesn't
"Guys,
doesn't like them
listen."
all. I mean, sometimes we may have one that slip through that it's like, well, how'd this film get in a festival? You know,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
but it's that doesn't happen very often because the time it gets
No,
to John's
no.
level, which we have this kind of tiered thing, uh, you're seeing the best of the best. And this
Yeah.
year, uh, and this is for all the filmmakers who were accepted, uh, we had a record number of submissions this year, and we had a record number of feature film submissions. We had 80
Amazing.
feature film
Wow.
submissions.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
80. And so those that were selected, it was really tough. I mean, it was really tough to feature films. We had so many good films
Mm,
that we just couldn't take them all. And
yeah.
we usually have even fewer features than we did this year. But I said these are so good they've got to play. And
Yeah.
and then short films. We had a record number of short film submissions. So and it's just phenomenal every year. And student films, they're like, are you sure these are student films? And
I know, right? I know.
yeah, I mean, our winning actress last year was from a student film, so it's pretty
Wow.
amazing.
That one destroyed me, by the way. That was another one that destroyed me. About the
Yeah,
toy
well,
Okay.
toy,
yeah, the toy
So,
phone.
Ron,
the toy
what
phone.
are the things people need to know if they want to attend your festival? What do they need to do?
Well, they can go to our website, BeaufortFilmFestival.com. And everything is there. It's got right down from the schedule of events to the screening times. You can go to where it says official selections 2024. Click on any film that has an underline. If the title is underlined, that means there's a trailer there. Click on it, and you can see the trailer for the film. And kind of decide what you want to see. If you want to see them all, that's fine. If you want to see them all, buy an all events pass. So all the ticket information is there. And if you're coming from far and wide away, call now if you haven't already to book a room because they're going fast. And I even have some that I've been trying to book. Said, well, we don't have any more rooms left. I said, oh, you got to be kidding me. So, so I'm trying to find, a lot of times the filmmakers that are coming that they decide at the last minute. We've got one coming from, maybe two coming from Canada and, of course, Poland
Wow.
Yeah.
and UK. So it's just, and we have one that, and as I told John, I said we've got 3 Oscar qualifying short films that are playing here, but I didn't tell
Come
him what
on.
they were. He'd have to kind of
No.
figure it out.
I'm gonna have to figure it out, but I love that, Ron. We had
Yeah.
1 last year. You've got 3 this year. I just see good things. I see bigger. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
So I'm a filmmaker. What is your words? Both of you, give me your words of wisdoms to the young filmmakers that are out there right now.
Well, the biggest thing is, I think to the young filmmakers, and you want to come to BIFF, submit. I mean, if you think your film is good enough, I mean, we set the bar really high. I mean, it has gotten higher every year, and because we get some really great films, and you can't assume that your film's not good enough so that you don't submit. But we really like the younger filmmaker to submit to us as well as the older filmmakers, and but we want the films that tell a story. And if you've got a good story and you tell it well, you have a chance to get into the festival. The thing is, a lot of times, and we've had this comment when people talk about it being a little festival and all this kind of stuff. It is a little town, that's for sure. We have in 2020, the population of Beaufort officially is like 15,000. We had
Wow.
20,000, almost, close to 20,000 off and on. It may have been the same people, but what we call butts in seats. We count every single person that sits in there, and we exceeded the population of Beaufort.
Love
And
it.
and we were just named by Movie Maker magazine one of the top 20 vacation film festivals in a vacation destination. So that was really good. So so we just, I mean, the word's getting out there from people that this is a good film festival to go to, and I think if you've got that film and you want to submit it, submit it. And the other thing is, BIFF alumni, if you've been here before, you never pay a submission fee, so you got nothing to lose. Submit it, and so.
Fantastic.
And to add to that is 100%. But if you don't have a film that you submitted, but you want to experience the film festivals, they are the most approachable filmmakers you will meet. They are the most approachable people you'll ever meet at a film festival. Come and see what it's about. Network. The networking I've done at this film festival, I honestly work with people that I've met at the film festival. I am friends with people now. Frederick Marks is helping us out with our documentary. I'd have never known Frederick, who had
Frederick had dinner with us last year.
There you go.
And he was so fun.
Yeah, but come if you are a filmmaker and you want to experience a film and the networking side of Beaufort. That is such a great part of the festival as well.
And I would even add to that if you're somebody just in need of some inspiration, you just need some creativity, this is the place to immerse yourself, because everything about this experience will inspire you, just from the historical scenery of being in Beaufort to the film history of Beaufort. There so many big name major films have been made there, to getting to meet the filmmakers, the actors, the musicians who do the music for them. Like, it's incredible to speak to these people, hear their experience, why they do it. Again, there I am asking, what is your why? Why do you do this?
Why are you doing this?
Why? That's all I want to know. So as we close here, because we've gone almost an hour and a half, I just want to say thank you to both of you for coming into my life and being an inspiration to me. And because of people like you, I get the nerve to do something crazy like this, like a platform, like anybody, I'm like, oh, nobody cares what I have to say. But it's not even about that. It is that we can gain inspiration from anywhere. But I don't ever want to lose the art of connection and truly getting to know somebody. So Ron, it's been a privilege to spend this time with you and to get to know your story even more, because you're very busy at the festival. That is not the time to get to know you. But I so appreciate that you follow my page and you like my posts and you say encourage you and your wife.
I read
both.
everything you do. And,
oh my gosh.
So I'm thrilled to be the first. And so
Thank you.
it was really good, and sometimes it's kind of it's good for me to kind of remember where we were and where we are, and I think sometimes you have to slow down to kind of appreciate that, and I think I appreciate you for the opportunity. It's just great, and I love it that you guys are coming back.
Thank you.
It's just
I'm counting down the days.
And for John, I have to sometimes I stumble on things that he's involved in. And when I saw his updated bio, I remember last year he said, "Ron, we've got to update this thing." When they read the bio when he was doing his presentation, and it was involved in Masters of the Air, and I said, "I didn't know that." So a lot of times I don't know
I can't wait for Masters of the Air.
Yeah.
And Rebecca and I went to a movie one time, and we didn't know that it was in it. And we said, "That's John."
Doesn't it just pull you right out of the movie experience when you know the guy?
Yeah. So I think you were like a CIA agent or something.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Rod, what I was trying to impress my kids with knowing an actor, right? I was like, guys, I went to high school with he's in Jurassic Park. Let's go see the movie. I can't wait. And right away, screen opens, John's in the scene. And I'm like, there he is. That's the guy with the oh, there he goes.
Well, I
like,
thought earlier, we had a filmmaker who he was telling me some things about himself because I try to get to know all the filmmakers before they get here, so I can have a during the Q&A, I kind of know a little bit about them. And he said one of his favorite films was Queen's Gambit. I said, aren't you in for a treat, buddy?
Queen's Gambit is amazing. And John, if you don't know, John Schwab here is in Queen's Gambit. You played the kind of bodyguard, right?
Mr. Booth, yeah. Well, you don't know
Security.
you don't know who he is, but you
Yeah.
know
Right.
he is of yeah, he's very mysterious. But this the glorious thing about this though, Ron, is that and you know, another one of your filmmakers, alumni, Gary Weeks, who is also
Yeah.
in Jurassic World and
Yeah.
also in Outer Banks at the moment. You know,
Yeah.
and I've watched his career grow. I mean, and Anthony Reynolds shows up in TV, you know, and
Yeah.
Anthony Grasso, like all these people that I've met at
Yeah.
the film festival are on my television. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
it.
Well, you know, and you just don't know because there were some pictures that were posted because our photographer takes 10,000 pictures and they get
Yeah.
posted on our Facebook pages. And there's still pictures I haven't seen for every festival. I'll stumble on something and someone sent me a note and she said, I just saw a picture of you guys and it looks like Lieutenant Baker from Blue Bloods. Is that Lieutenant Baker? And I said, yes, it is. You know, it's, Abby Spies, Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, she was there, and a lot of times you just don't know. I mean, people will say, "You were in Law and Order. You were in, you know, this and
Yeah.
that," and but you know, these are professional actors. They're working, and then they have a film that they did because they could direct it or wrote it, and they get our festival and they come and everybody's thrilled that they came.
And there it grows. And that's
Yeah.
Ron, it's your passion. It's not blowing sunshine, but it's your passion, Rebecca's passion. Taylor, you've seen it. You've seen it.
Yes.
You've seen
It's
these guys. It's
beautiful.
your
Yeah.
passion
And
that,
I do
does
not
it.
want to diminish the role that Rebecca plays in this. If we would have had her on here, this would be like a 4-part miniseries.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Rebecca, as we speak, Rebecca is doing BIFF stuff. She's
Yeah.
at the visitor center. She's taking tickets to people or sponsors, and
I love it.
so there's just a lot of
You're in the home stretch, right? Yeah.
moving parts, and
Mm.
yeah, so it's just like yesterday I did a TV thing, and then this afternoon we've got a magazine thing, and then so it's just one of those things where the last 30 days, this is what you do.
Well, I
Yeah.
can't
Get the
believe
word
that you would
out.
make the time for me because I do know your time is valuable and you are so busy. So before we wrap up, to make it a cute little soundbite here, tell me, what is your why? Why do you do this, the Beaufort Film Festival, year after year? What is your why?
Well, my why is probably something that I'm passionate about. It's one of those things where it's not really about the celebrity of it. I mean, if we have a celebrity that comes, that's great. But I want all the filmmakers to leave here feeling like they got that Beaufort hug. Because our tagline is Beaufort hugs and Southern hospitality unmatched. And we want every single filmmaker to come to feel like this red carpet was for you. I mean, you may be one of 55, but at that moment when we're talking with you, we're talking with you. And I think it's one of those things where we don't worry about the other things and that may happen because sometimes it does happen. But it's the Marine in me that plans. I mean, the planning, Rebecca thinks I'm crazy because some of the stuff I worry about is like, but it could happen. If it goes wrong, it's going to go wrong during the time of the screening, and I don't want it to go wrong during the time of screening. So, right down to, you know, just making sure that the filmmaker that comes feels special. They leave with a good feeling, not only just about the festival, but about Beaufort and about South Carolina. Because we have a lot of people who've never been to South Carolina before, never been to the South before. So they have these preconceived ideas of what it's going to be like. And they get here and say, wow, we love this town. You know, we love this festival. So, and I think the why is we just want everybody to feel the joy when they're here. And the networking, like John said, is phenomenal. We've seen so many filmmakers that get to know each other here and then wind up next project, they're all in the credits together. So so it's really phenomenal how it happens for such a, you know, small place as Beaufort. And that's what it's about. The general, he was a colonel when I worked for him, but the general said a person can do great things and great things will happen if you don't care who gets the credit. So
Amen. Yes.
And I think that's the way we look at it, is like we want everybody to feel like they had a part in making this happen. We can't do it without our sponsors. We can't do it without our over 100 volunteers. It takes
Amazing.
a village to pull this off. And our volunteers are so great. And we want every filmmaker that comes up and asks a question of a volunteer, they're going to respond to you as though you're their best friend. So, and we want you to have that feeling of joy when you leave. You don't want to leave. So
you don't. And you know what? You've nailed all of that. Congratulations on your success. Congratulations on what you've created and the impact that is so far reaching. You can't even measure it. Like, that's what I love about this. That's what inspires me about you, is that what you're doing is from a place of passion for people, passion for your home, and passion for art. Those are my 3 favorite things.
well,
So
thank you very much. So
I'm so honored to be a part of it, to know you and be a part of this journey. And I'm so excited to come back and be with Beaufort again.
Well, we're anxious to
couple
see
more
you.
weeks.
Yeah.
Great.
So, but
All right, Ron.
All right.
Well, thank you for your time, sir. I'm going to go ahead. You stay on for a little bit. Don't leave, because I got to do some green room stuff, but we'll be with you in just a minute. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. John, thank you for co-hosting me and walking me through all of this and keeping me calm during all the hiccups. And I expected things to hiccup, so that's not
amazing.
a big deal. I don't even care. I'm not here to be perfect anymore. Right? That used to be the Marine in me that wanted everything to be perfect. But now I'm just like, you can still inspire.
It is what it is. I mean, look, you can take all the little gremlins that happen just to hear an hour and a half of Ron Tucker's voice.
Amen.
Honestly,
Amen.
I just want to have 9 hours of his voice on a loop, because it'll help me just reading bedtime stories. Anything. He just is the most gentle.
He makes you feel like you're in a film. Like, I'm in a film about Beaufort. Like, that's my Hallmark movie right there. Right. I thought it was going to be in Aspen, but maybe it's in Beaufort. Maybe he knows a guy, we need to talk to him about that. But thank you. I appreciate your friendship and all that you've brought into my world and my journey and my home and family. And I look forward to your successes too. We're going to have to do one of these with you where we could talk about your career and your path and your journey, because you're just as inspirational and you always have such amazing bits of wisdom to share. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out and give you back your day and time.
Thanks.
So thank you for spending this with me. I love you too. We'll talk soon.
We'll speak soon.
All right. And hopefully, let's see, we can do this. There we go. All right. Get all these buttons clicked in all the right places. Guys, thank you. I'm going to hopefully post-production be able to chop this down into a little bit smaller bites for you. But if you hung on for today, thank you so much for listening. Go check out the Beaufort Film Festival, BIFF 2024. Check out those films that have been submitted. And in fact, go to their YouTube page as well. You can see prior years, what those submissions look like. If you're creative and in any way you work with film, I suggest you go to this festival and experience it. You great networking opportunity. And if you, again, you're just somebody who's creative and always looking for inspiration, you can't go wrong in Beaufort. So give it a try. And guys, thank you for the support. I'm going to close you out with one more little Beaufort clip here, and we'll see you on the flip side.
If you leave, what will become of me? Where will I go? What will I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. As for me, I'm headed to the Beaufort International Film Festival.
The Beaufort International Film Festival? I wonder if I can still get tickets online.
Why, yes you can, Scarlett, at www.BeaufortFilmFestival.com, or buy them at the door.
Well, that's good to hear. Oh, I wonder what Ashley's doing that weekend. Oh, yeah, there's that restraining order. Well, fiddly-dee, I'll think about that tomorrow.